Two official statements came out within hours of each other today, and they directly contradict one another. The White House claims Iran reached out and requested in-person talks, which is why Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are on their way to Pakistan. But Iran's foreign ministry says the opposite. No direct meeting with the U.S. is planned, and any communication will happen through Pakistan. Both statements are official. Both were released the same day. And both cannot be true at the same time. This is where the real story begins, because the key question right now isn't whether a deal gets signed in Islamabad. The real question is, what happens when two sides refuse to sit in the same room and one country is expected to make progress anyway? Pakistan is that country. And it's important to understand, Pakistan is not acting as a passive host. It is deeply involved, running one of the most active diplomatic operations in this entire conflict. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has been in direct contact with Iranian leadership, while also coordinating with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Turkey to build a broader regional support system. At the same time, Pakistan's military leadership has carried messages between Washington and Tehran, and its foreign ministry has maintained continuous engagement with Iranian officials. This is full-scale shuttle diplomacy. Pakistan has built the entire structure of these talks, from security arrangements to back-channel communication, based purely on its credibility with both sides. And that credibility matters. Iran trusts Pakistan. The U.S. trusts Pakistan. And in global diplomacy, that combination is extremely rare. But now Pakistan faces a unique challenge. One side is arriving in Islamabad saying, they asked for this meeting. The other side is already there saying, no such meeting exists. Pakistan must operate inside this contradiction, without having created it. And this is no longer just a communication gap, it's an operational problem. Because when both delegations are physically in the same city, possibly even the same building, while publicly denying alignment, the mediator's job becomes far more complex. This is where proximity talks come in. Instead of direct negotiation, both sides remain separate. Pakistan moves between them, carrying messages, proposals, and reactions, allowing each side to maintain its public stance while still engaging privately. It's a delicate balancing act. The U.S. needs to show that Iran came to the table voluntarily. Iran needs to show it never accepted direct engagement. Pakistan must make both manners work at the same time. And even if that works, a deeper issue remains. The disagreements themselves are not simple policy differences. They are structural conflicts. Control over the Strait of Hormuz. The duration of nuclear enrichment limits 20 years versus 5. The physical location of uranium inside Iran or transferred abroad. These are not issues you can split halfway. They are binary decisions. Yes or no. Control or no control. Pakistan understands this. That's why it has been building a wider regional framework, bringing in countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Turkey, to create a situation where any compromise can be presented as a strategic win, not a surrender. But even that has limits, because ultimately, Pakistan cannot change how decisions are made inside Iran. The real authority lies with the IRGC, not just the diplomatic team. And if the IRGC does not support a deal, no agreement will hold, no matter how well it is negotiated. On the other side, the U.S. also faces constraints. It cannot offer Iran a long-term guarantee of regime security, the one thing that could potentially shift Iran's internal calculation. Without that, trust remains limited. So Pakistan can facilitate, coordinate, and manage, but it cannot resolve the core conflict. Now, some analysts argue that this contradiction we're seeing today is actually a sign of progress. That Iran publicly denies talks to manage domestic pressure, while privately signaling willingness through its presence in Islamabad. That may be true. We've seen similar patterns before. But there's a new complication. Iran's negotiating authority itself appears unstable. If the officials at the table don't have the power to finalize decisions, then even successful talks may not lead to a real agreement. That's the risk. So as both delegations arrive, there are three things to watch. First, do talks remain indirect, or do they shift into direct engagement? Second, does Iran's public language evolve after these meetings? And third, does Pakistan's tone change? Because Pakistan has remained consistently optimistic so far. If that tone shifts, if Pakistan signals that the gaps are no longer procedural but structural, that's the moment everything changes. At that point, the question is no longer about diplomacy. It becomes this: if both sides already know what they want and know the other side cannot accept it, what exactly is the mediator supposed to do?